Hi, Tim. Welcome to the program.
Hi.
Hey. Oh, we just finished doing producers. I'm sure you're tired.
Yes. Is this after? Is this technically after, or is this
matter.
just?
We can edit
it doesn't
whatever
matter.
you want,
Okay.
man.
No. We're in week 2 of 3 weeks of the producers, and it's fun. No, it's
supposed to be.
It is an incredible show. It's weird. We get together and we're one big family for like 3, maybe 2.5 months, something
Right.
like that.
Mm-hmm.
And this is like a unique show in that I've never felt this comfortable and this happy very, very early in the process.
Well,
It's no, I mean, we were already having fun in like week 2.
right.
We were just, Jeff and I have a blast. Granted, Jeff and I already have a rapport.
But you know each other from before, right?
Yes,
So that was easy.
He's my boss at Texas Renaissance Festival. Please
That was
attend.
a plug.
Yes, that was a shameless plug for November and October. Not in that order. But,
Yeah.
But yes, I've known Jeff for 3 years.
Right.
So, and he actually encouraged me to audition. I wasn't sure. It's like he was subtly giving me hints all through last season at Texas Renaissance Festival, and he started shoving this coffee table book of the producers my way, and and it's like, you need to see this movie, and it's like, I saw the movie. It's a great movie.
Yeah.
I saw the Zero Mostel and Gene Wilder movie, and it's like, no, not that movie. You have to watch the musical one.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, okay. So like 5 minutes into watching that, it's like, oh yeah, I have to audition for this. It was so I'm glad I did. I'm having a huge.
No, we're glad to have you
having
here.
so much fun.
But let's go back.
Show.
How
Okay.
did you get into theater?
Theater is kind of in my blood to a degree. My father was a musician in college. Mm-hmm. My grandmother used to sing on the radio for like national, events and things. Yeah. I enjoyed it at a very early age. Mm-hmm. I did a lot of it in high school, not so much in college.
Right.
I got a theater minor in college, and my degree is actually media production. So what I did for those years is I ran kind of a closed circuit television show called Science Fiction Theater, and it was lots of fun, and we hosted movies, and it was a great time. But it wasn't really, I don't know, I kind of got away from theater for a while. I was supposed to be a writer or a director or something. And after sort of 15 years or so of banging my head against the wall, not really doing anything. Mm-hmm. My wife auditioned for, I think, Sound of Music. Right. And they kind of wrote me into that. And then I saw the rest of the season for that particular theater. Mm-hmm. And The Lion in Winter was coming up.
Right, yeah.
And it's like, I really want to audition for The Lion in Winter because this is an awesome show. And I love these sort of English-themed Anglophile kind of stories. Mm-hmm. And but before that, I auditioned for The Odd Couple just to see if I could do it. Sure. And I could, and it was fun, and I don't think I've really stopped ever since. That was about 4 years ago.
Wow. Yeah. It's grease paint.
It's fun, but I've been very fortunate in that I keep getting cast. It's not going to happen forever.
Well,
I don't think.
No, absolutely,
but,
you're good.
Yeah.
So why should you be cast? Media production, though. Why media production?
It's a combination of a lot of things. I was a huge movie buff growing up. My mother likes to tell this story about how I wanted to be Steven Spielberg one day. Right. Mm-hmm. And I think my parents were a little reticent to have me major in theater. They wanted to somehow make a little bit more money and things like that. And the honest to God truth and the irony is I've made more money acting than I have ever, and not much at that. Right. But the few jobs that actually do pay, I haven't made a cent making a film or anything like that, and it's been a while since I've done any of that. So, I find that I'm more at home as an actor. I find that I'm a lot happier as an actor. It's kind of conceited a little bit, but I think when you only have to worry about you and what you're doing and what you're giving to whomever's on the stage with you, pushing the energy back and forth. Right. When it's just that, I think that it takes a lot of pressure off of you. When you're a director, you have to worry about absolutely everything, and that includes budget and, special effects and what is this going to look like editing, and oh my God, we're losing light.
Right.
We got to wrap this up, and we're on 20 takes, and I still can't get this actor to do the things that I want to do. I don't miss that.
Well, I guess it's the difference between employee and manager. I always used to ask my dad, why doesn't he want to be a manager? And then you do it, and you go like, oh my goodness, now I know why I don't want him to deal with people. Right. I don't want him to deal with all these things. But as actually, you just focus on the craft.
Focus. You work on you, and you help those around you to get where they need to go and give them what they need from you. Right. And that's just, I don't know, it's just a lot more fun for me. So yeah, I haven't really stopped since that little play called The Odd Couple.
Do you have a particular technique that you subscribe to, or it's all your own? It's a mishmash of philosophies?
I had a little wee bit of training in college. I mean, I just kind of depends on the show, I think. First and foremost, you always want to be honest. You want to have a character that's entertaining to the audience and fun for you to play, but at the same time, not so over the top that you lose any kind of credibility or believability. You also want to be in the moment. You want to listen to your other actors. And I don't know that I would necessarily call that a technique, but that's certainly what that's what I keep in my head when I'm studying the part, and you do your research, and you just kind of work with your director, and what he or she wants is also obviously factored into that. Sure. I think that, they always say comedy is hard. And that's true. Yep. It is. But I think that when you're doing really famous shows like, this one, or let's say One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, or, lots of different things, I think that certain people coming into the audience expect a certain performance.
Sure, they do.
From, say Nathan Lane or Matthew Broderick or Gene Wilder, Zora Mostel, whom you have. And I think that it behooves you as an actor to give the audience those certain moments. And I think that you should review everything that has been done before, because there's a reason why these people are famous. And, when they have good moments, why not use them? You should give the audience what they want, but B, if they made a better choice than you can come up with, absolutely you should use it. So, I think it's actually kind of conceited to, make a different choice just for the sake of making a different choice. So, there's, all those things are kind of thrown into it. When you get to comedy, and I think especially musical comedy, there's like a really heightened sense of reality.
Yes.
So, if you put on top of that Mel Brooks, that gets even higher and higher and higher. And I think the goal for these kind of things is to push it as far as you can go and still be honest. And still have fun with it, and I think that's kind of why the great thing about Manny as a director is he'll let you go that far, and then he'll push you a little bit more, and I'm like, really, I can do that, and and then he'll push you a little bit far, and then he'll say, we'll take you right up to the edge and fly, and that's been my experience with him, and I'm glad that I've done this show, and I'm glad that I've got to meet him. So
what's interesting, you mentioned two things. We talked about it being in the moment, which is very Meisner-esque, but the other one's being honest, which is you don't need training to detect that. The audience figures that out when they come and see you. They can tell. They may not know what it is, but they can tell if you're being honest or not. Sure, it's that simple, right? And they can go like, "That was good," but they don't know why. Yeah, but usually because of that, there's just something honest about the portrayal.
Right.
How much of Leo is really in you, and how much is just something you've pulled from other places?
It's kind of funny because I play the Doctor at Texas Renaissance Festival, and I like to say that the Doctor is a mix of lots of different other performances for somebody else who had that role, but a lot of it is also me with all the fear removed. Leo is kind of the opposite. He's got elements of Matthew Broderick. He's got elements of Gene Wilder, especially like the pauses that Gene Wilder has like glorious pauses in his performance of this role. but a lot of Leo is me with the fear magnified. It's I mean he's there is a lot of me, but it's a heightened version of what I'm like when I'm scared and I don't know what to do. So I mean it's fun to explore that actually and see. It's like, oh my God, am I really? It's kind of funny because the other day Jeff was sick. It was during a pickup rehearsal, and we had lots and lots of we had people step in for him on the role, and it's amazing that 50% of my performance is actually working off of Jeff.
Oh, absolutely.
And it was weird. I couldn't find my rhythm as Leo. So it's not just you. It's also who you're on stage with and the energy that you give back and forth with that person.
And while that's difficult, sometimes that's good because it forces you to get out of that comfort zone. Right?
Yes.
Because it does come up different performance. Maybe not what you would want at a performance, but it does evoke something different. Absolutely.
It does, especially when you have your boss at Texas Renaissance Festival and you have to throw him onto the ground and start dry humping him. It's like, oh my God, that took like a couple weeks for us to get to that point. Where we were, it was like, he was probably right there, right in the moment the whole time. It took me a while. I was like, I really do have to do this. Oh God. Okay. So that was.
Let's talk about your passion for radio. Because I know you started, doing the radio program at Lone Star.
Well, actually, it wasn't started by me.
Right.
It was started by Craig Campobello.
Yes. Thank you, Craig.
Yes, thank you, Craig. And I just went to the audition for the pilot as an actor, and I think like it was the day of the broadcast where I said to him, "Look, did you know that this year is the 75th anniversary of the War of the Worlds broadcast?" And of course, this is the Orson Welles Panic broadcast that if you've studied your history, you know that this is a huge event in media history, and that, they started broadcasting this play version, this radio play version of H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds. And they announced at the very beginning that, this was a fictitious, play, just like every week, we do a different show every week, and yada, yada, yada. But, most of the audience was listening to a different radio show on a different program. And when that particular variety program, I think it was the Chase and Sandboard Hour, had the most listeners at that point. I don't know, some unpopular singer came on and people started switching the dial, and they came upon the whole, Martians are invading, and, this was all presented as a news report, and it started panicking people. And, this was right before World War II was about to, involve America, and people were already panicked and had a heightened sense of alert and paranoia, et cetera, et cetera. So Martians landing in Grover's Mill, that's a super big deal. So that's a big event. And, I guess it was 3 years ago now. It was the 75th anniversary. And Craig remembered that. And when he was looking for somebody to take over the show, he just kind of walked up to me and he's like, Hey, I've got this big project I've got to do, and would you like to take over the radio show? And I'm like, yeah, all right, I can do that. And it's been quite an adventure, actually. I listened to a lot of that stuff growing up. Granted, obviously, I was not the original audience, but they'd sell like cassettes in grocery stores and things like that. And
there's CDs of the thing.
Find
them online.
So I was a huge fan of The Shadow and Lights Out Everybody, which is kind of like this Twilight Zone version on the radio, and those stories always fascinated me. Just sort of the macabre and the sort of, the kind of simplicity of the detective stories on the radio back then. Now we've got things like Gotham, and things are overcomplicated, and, various different shades of right and wrong. And, that back then the entertainment wasn't like that. It was like white hats and black hats, And what can you do? But it's a lot of fun, and it's become more fun since we started actually putting them on stage,
right?
Because you can get a different sense of what people listen to at home,
right?
Versus what they actually see. And probably the best example of this, the one that I always use, is again from War of the Worlds. There is a sound effect of the Martian cylinder unscrewing.
Yes.
And you'd never really know from listening to it, but the sound for that is like a big bolt and the underside of a toilet tank lid, and you just sort of scrape the inside of the toilet tank lid, and it just kind of makes this weird scraping noise.
Right.
And it's just really cool and unearthly, and you would never expect that to come from just common household items.
Well, I was thinking, is it Ben Burtt? Sound effects out. Well, if it's Star Wars,
right? And
most of the things are very common, but you wouldn't know it from hearing the sound effect.
A lot of what he does too is that's not something we can do,
right?
But I mean, he'll go out to the field and record airplanes or animals and things like that, and he'll blend them together and he'll layer them on top of each other. When you're doing live radio, at least the way we do it, we can't really do that. We try to make all homemade sound effects all the time, and everything is live, including the music, et cetera, et cetera. Right. So, I mean, you try to get as close to the 30s and 40s,
right?
And even they cheated more than we cheated.
Right.
I mean, they have like records and things that they would play for certain things, but we really try to do it homemade and from scratch, and that's kind of a badge of honor for us, really. Yeah. So,
well, I find it's interesting. When you're doing the radio plays, it's a great way to work on voices.
Yes.
Great way. And you're forced to use your imagination. I mean, so much now, everything is so visual.
Right.
We almost don't need to use our imagination.
Right.
But when radio, when you're listening to that, you just kind of see things in your mind. And everyone sees something different.
That's why it's called the theater of the mind. That's why they called it that. And there's also, I can't remember who the quote's from, but somebody said back when this was before television, the scenery is always better on radio.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's always cool.
So what do you do when you're not doing theater and
I'm
radio?
Not doing theater,
and all this kind of stuff?
I'm looking for other shows. I mean, at some point I'll probably get back to writing and directing because I do love those things. But right now I'm just having so much fun as an actor that I try to find every opportunity that I can to do that. And I try to find roles that are going to push me, that will make me uncomfortable, will make me a better actor. I mean, I would love to do this professionally, but it just,
it's tough.
There's no career path for that. And just finding a way to make this your day job is like, that's the dream, but it's, I still got a few years to go. It's still a goal. It's still a life goal.
Sure. So what do you do in real life?
What do I do in real life? I work for Lone Star College. I'm an administrative assistant. I work for the Office of Completion. And what we do is things like student records, admissions, recruitment, enrollment, that kind of thing. So yeah, we're very busy. I work for the Associate Vice Chancellor under that role. So it's fun. There's a lot of fast pace. I basically work where the chancellor lives, and he doesn't live there.
Right.
But where payroll is. I don't work on a certain campus. But yeah, it's fun. It's good. It's a living.
Hey, you got to pay the bills, so yes, it works. Do you have an actor or actress that you try to emulate or you learn from? There's a master class right there. I'm gonna learn something.
There is a master class. There's one like from Kevin Spacey that's $90 that I need to take. It's online.
Yeah.
Gosh, I mean, I've spent a lot of time watching British television. I mean, David Tennant is somebody I really, really like. I just don't spend a lot of time thinking about, oh my God, there's this actor that I idolize. I mean, it's probably just one of, whatever I'm watching at the time is like, wow, that guy's really, really good. I'm spending a lot of time watching anime and I'm listening to voice actors and it's like, oh, of course, I know at least one or two of them, but it's like, wow, what that guy did with his voice is really awesome. That's cool. So, you know, I'm of the actors that I follow on like Twitter and things like that. That's probably people doing voice acting for anime. Is probably what I'm keeping track of right now.
I just forgot about that. Yeah, actually, is it Becky Teague's? Is it brother or some other? Makes a living doing
that's what I've heard. He works for like Funimation, I think. But we're digressing. This is like this is not something I do.
But I mean, you're talking about if there's a men make money, we know people that make a living. I mean, we're not taking a lot of money, but
but yes, but yeah, that's a goal too. That and appear at like San Diego Comic-Con. I want to dream big, you know. It's like
to appear. You don't mean go.
No, I don't mean go. I mean be asked. Be on a panel. Yeah. No, that's like pie in the sky, but that's when I'll know I've made it.
That's really, you know, it's a big. I know Jill, our stage manager, she's really into, you know, like the different the Comic Cons. Comics actually have really taken off. And, you know, the neat thing, you know, when you were a kid, we couldn't afford this stuff, and now we're adults, we can.
Yeah. Well, it's a weird thing, and that's like another story that I keep telling people is like I'm in these shows all the time, and there's, you know, I'm 40. Sorry, I am. It's hard for me to realize. Right? Yeah, I know. Who cares? But it's funny because I've been a Doctor Who fan longer than a lot of my other castmates have been alive because they're like in their 20s, and it's like it's funny. We start talking about Doctor Who, and it's like, and so how long have you been a Doctor Who fan? I'm like, back before it was cool. You know, we used to have to like order VHS tapes, and they'd come in like these brown paper sacks, like porn or something.
VHS
and it's
tape,
like,
what the heck is that?
Yeah, right. And it's funny. It's just, you know, I've been a Doctor Who fan since like 1986, and I was a nerd back then, and now it's like considered cool, and it's like we're in this weird paradigm shift where like geeks are running the country, and at least entertainment, and it's weird living in this sort of bizarro world where Doctor Who is on the front cover of Entertainment Weekly, not once, but twice in a year. Wow. And you can buy merchandise at the mall, not only for the current Doctor, but also for, you know, these classic Doctors, like, you know, Tom Baker and Patrick Troughton t-shirt, like, in the mall? What? What's going on? This is just bizarre. But yeah, it's cool. And, you know, that's where we live now. And, you know, I'm happy to have like tons of other people to share this fandom with. So, but yes, that's the goal. That's
to be like asked, not just
big pie in the sky goal is to be in something that affects enough people that enjoy it enough to be asked to come in for that sort of thing.
Well, even the conventions and stuff like that. It's I don't know. Maybe we've lost the whole storytelling, the abilities, or I don't know what it is. But when the people go to those things, they bond just like anything. It's almost like a reunion, like a high school reunion or something like that. You know, you'll see people you saw several years ago, or maybe from last year, and you catch up and that kind of thing. Maybe you go in costume, maybe you don't. But
yeah, that'll happen at conventions. That'll happen at Texas Renaissance Festival too. There'll be patrons that come up to me and it's like, "Hi, I'm in character, and I have to react to you in character. But yes, I know you, and yes, it's cool to hang out with you." So, but yes, that's fun, and that's part of it, and that's my life and my wife's life right now, and it's cool, and we enjoy it. So,
what would you like to do that you haven't been able to do yet? Whether it's acting, writing, directing,
put on some sort of web series, maybe actually get something written. You know, I don't know. I've stepped away for these things the last few years, and I need to kind of get back to them. But then they take away time from acting, so it's interesting trying to chisel out time for all these things and actually stick to them. Because I feel a lot more. I feel a lot more motivated as an actor than I do these other things. So. But I need to get back to them at some point. Yeah, I've been cast with so many different people now that I'm probably better equipped than I was several years ago to actually make something like this, because I know I've got like my own brains actor Rolodex or something, and it's like, oh yes, I can put this person here and this person there, and you know, it would be great. So
we have a lot of friends that like to write, and I guess that you know, that gives it is a creative outlet, but is it very solitary as opposed to acting, which is very communal?
You know, it can be. I think it was Stephen King that said something like, "I like to write with I write my first draft with my door closed."
Mm-hmm.
And no, it's the other way around. I like to write my first draft with my door open, and then my second draft with my door closed. So it's you know, he'll run, you know, his first draft by his wife, he'll run his first draft by friends, his agent, et cetera, et cetera. And then, you know, once he's got their input, then, you know, he'll lock it down and really push that out. I mean, it can be solitary, but I think that it's a trap for you to write so much and think that absolutely everything you write is going to be absolutely golden. It's a trap to not show these things to other people and get their feedback, and at some point you have to do what's called kill your darlings. You know, these little bits, these lines and these paragraphs and, you know, little situations that you are absolutely in love with as a writer but fall flat with your audience. Yes. You have to just get rid of them, and that's hard for some people. So yeah, I think for those people it can be a very solitary experience. But, you know, coming back to that, you know, you have to open it up and you have to be you're not ever going to get any good if you never show your stuff to anybody. So,
well, I think you hit the nail on the head, because a lot of people that write, I want to write a play, I want it to go to Broadway. Yeah. They forget about all these other steps, like the workshop process where you get feedback from others, and they go like, this works and this stinks, all this kind of stuff. Yeah. But you get it. You understand that.
Yeah. Well, it took me a long time to understand that. I mean, you know, I gained this sort of wisdom through failure. So that's, you know, that's
very Edisonian.
It's, you know, I wish I had realized that 20 years ago. Wish I'd realized there was an actor 20 years ago, but, you know, what can you do?
It's amazing. Well, I'm going to get a chance to talk to your wife in a little bit, but
that's cool.
I'm going to ask you the question we've been asking everyone.
Okay.
If heaven exists, what do you want God to say when you get to pearly gates? Because
I'm waiting. My first inclination is like, what? You're here? What? I don't know. I think my reaction would be, oh my God, thank God. Oh, thank you. Thank you. You know, no, what would God say? Thank you for figuring out finally that you are not to squander the gift that I've given you. Which sounds sort of conceited, but I felt very lost creatively for a long time. And when I found my place as an actor, I think it finally cemented that, no, this is where you belong. This is what you're supposed to be doing. And everything up till now has been this sort of dry run, a combination of a dry run and spinning your wheels. And this is what I put you here to do. Yeah. So thank you for finally waking up after I've been trying to hit you on the head for so long. So that's probably,
I think it's a great message.
You know,
I think he does give us gifts. Yeah. And then whether we use them or not to our full potential is a big deal.
Yeah. And I think you feel uncomfortable until you realize where it is you're supposed to be. I think that's definitely my case. So,
Tim, thank you so much for being with us, man.
Thank you for asking me. It was fun.